We're already recording. So.
Peace. A question we get from a lot of parents who are educating their children at home is, well, what about math? They feel really uncomfortable with math. Maybe they didn't do well themselves at math, or they just are uncomfortable teaching math. Maybe they know how to do it, but they're uncomfortable teaching it. There's just a lot of deep feelings about math in this country, a lot of very uncomfortable feelings about math, and that perpetuates on to our kids. And kids start to feel like, I hate math, because we kind of like, we hate math. So we are here and we are going to give you 3 ways to look at math just a little bit differently. And Scott, you're going to start us off, right?
So the first thing is that we teach math in a really interesting way in America that is totally taken out of context. And so we teach math on a piece of paper, and it's sometimes in a story problem, and it's almost always taken out of its real context. So I like to look at this a little bit like a hammer. And if you were to look at a hammer on paper, a diagram of it, and you talk about the handle, and you talk about the heel of it and the head, and you talk about all the metal parts and the rubber parts, and you talk about all those things for 12 years, you're probably going to start hating the hammer, even though the hammer is one of the most useful the best tools that we have to build something. You're just going to hate a hammer because you just don't know what a hammer is used for. At least theoretically you know what it's used for, but you never actually use it. We ought to try to put that hammer back into context. Try to make math as useful and as real as possible.
Yeah, so they understand this is why you use it first, and then they want to learn it. So the second point actually is a lot of children struggle with math at first. We say don't push it. Other countries who are very successful, like Finland, they actually don't start really getting into math. They'll do mathematical concepts, but they really don't start getting into math until closer to 10. And so don't worry if they're young, if you have a young child and they're just kind of like, about it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about them being, not getting it until they're a little bit older. The brain development is amazing, and they will catch up. That part of their brain will start to strengthen in the right environment, and they will catch up, and they'll start to get it, and they'll start to see the need for it. And that's the biggest thing, is once they start to see a need for it, their math will just go once it's really fun and applicable to them. Okay, so the third is, speaking of applicable, there's just a lot of math that our students are part of the normal scope and sequence, the part of the curriculum in our schools that really is, it's specialized, and so it's not necessarily like you have to learn it anyway. I mean, come on, how much math do you remember from some of your high school classes? And a big one we always like to talk about is calculus. About 3% of our population actually uses calculus for their jobs, and so
that's typically in a computer. The computer is doing the calculus for them,
and they just need to understand calculus so that they can help the computer make sure the coding is right. There's a lot of people who are in the forefront of mathematics and mathematics education, professors who are actually trying to work backwards and change how we teach math, because there was something that happened in the 80s with machines where they can do it better and faster and more accurate, and so it changed what mathematics that you need to know. And one of those is just, you need to understand more, how do they work together? Because have you ever had your child ask, well, why do I need to learn math when I can just punch it into a calculator? So they're kind of right. But the thing that they need to understand is, well, okay, you can punch it in, but are you punching in a multiplication sign, or are you punching in a division sign? And so it's really in the application. How are they needing to put those numbers together? That's what they need to understand.
Okay, so those were the 3 things for this week. And so you might be asking, well, how am I going to do those 3 things? And so look for our next video, in which we talk about how to actually put those 3 principles in practice. And remember, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and watch for more videos coming in the next weeks.
And question, comments below.
Yes.
Thank you.